Hey everyone, so I know it's been a while. Today I wanted to do this unboxing because I ordered this one palette that I will show you. And yeah, I think it would be fun to show you kind of the colors. Sorry if I'm a little slow today. I'm very tired. I'm quite jet lagged. We only just got back to France, and so yeah, I'm jet lagged and a little out of it. But I wanted to definitely film this so that you could kind of see what these are. And it's a very special kind of palette. I ordered it off Splendid, which is like a website I think in the Netherlands. Oh, that's really cute, the way they packaged it. And I'm just gonna unbox this with you. So this is a special edition palette, a collaboration between Rebecca Green, the illustrator, and Holbein, where basically, I think it's maybe the first time, maybe not the first time, that they've collaborated with an illustrator to like create a palette. So I think she actually went to Japan, went to the Holbein factory and like sat with all the colors and ended up picking out this palette of colors. Obviously the box is also illustrated by her, and yeah, I just thought the palette was really beautiful, and I've always loved Rebecca Green. She was like one of the first illustrators kind of that I discovered maybe right at the beginning of when I joined Instagram, like 8 years ago. Anyway, so I thought it would be super fun, and these were all colors that I didn't have, so let's take a look. So the particularity with this palette is obviously I think she wanted to have a range of colors that you could mix together with. So, you know, a range of reds, yellow, blue, and then a few add-on colors. But most of these colors I don't have. The only one that I do have is the vermilion, I think, and I think I may have a burnt sienna. But I'm really excited to try these out. The coral red and this ash blue and ash yellow, which I'm really excited about. So yeah, why don't we go ahead and try this? Let's see. Yep. That's her. And yeah, these are a lot of the colors that this palette makes. So obviously this is the printed version, but we'll be able to go and have a look in real time. I'm just gonna grab my sketchbook. Oh man, it's stuck in there. Alright, so I'm just gonna kind of use it pure. A very bright orangey red. out my rag. So you'll get to see how this shifts as it dries. This one I'm very excited to see how it looks on the paper. Oh wow, yeah, that is a beautiful color. So this was one of the, obviously I think you can get all of these as separate tubes. You know, the problem always with Holbein is it is pretty pricey in terms of, like, you know, just with, if you look at all like the different paint brands, Holbein has a tendency to be on the pricier side. But I definitely say that if you have the budget, it's for sure worth it, because it's really, really beautiful and just feels really nice and has beautiful pigmentation. I think that's what I love the most about it, is how pigmented it is. And I don't know if you can really see the difference in color, but it is a very big difference. This is definitely more of that corally salmon color. Beautiful. So that's one of the reasons I also wanted to kind of show you this palette, just so, like, let's say if there's a color that you're interested in, you can go ahead and grab that one, even if you want as like an individual color. So this is the mustard, which is an awesome color and works so nicely next to this coral. Not being super conscientious with my swatches here, but I don't mind. It's just to get a gist of the colors and what they look like, more opaque and with a little bit more color added in. Emerald green. It's gonna be, this is actually, I'm gonna admit, the kind of color that I would not reach for necessarily, but I'm sure that in mixes it could make some beautiful. It's still a really beautiful green, don't get me wrong. It's just not one that I would personally reach for instinctively. But my guess is that this one, this illustration here, I could be wrong about that, but I feel like this could be the base color for that. Or maybe it's this one. I don't know. Anyway, it'll be a good thing to experiment with this one in mixes. I'm actually really looking forward to this sap green, which is more earthy. Yeah, see, that's more my kind of green. Very, very beautiful. You can, it's like a forest, I mean, yeah, sap green, right? Really love that. And of course, since this is acrylic gouache, what it means is it'll, once it dries, you can't rework it, which is an advantage to some extent. Because it means it's much more forgiving than regular gouache, because regular gouache, if you make it wet, it reactivates, kind of like watercolor. So the advantage with this is that you can use it in a lot of layers without the fear of picking up anything underneath. This was another one of those colors I was super excited about, pale aqua. And you can already see that next to this green, it's really beautiful. These two. Sorry, I hope you can't, you probably can hear it, but there's like people going down the stairs in my building. That's the one disadvantage maybe with having an apartment where it's all just one big room, is that the main door kind of leads onto the stairs and you can hear people a lot. But honestly, it's kind of rare, so it's okay. So yeah, this pale aqua, really beautiful. And I'm wondering, my guess is it's a mix of pigments with some white in it. Yeah, I think PW6 is white, if I'm not mistaken. There's PB15, PY42, and PW6, so that's 3 pigments. Actually, there's a section of my color collector class that I never added in, but that I had filmed and that I might add in at some point, where I kind of did a breakdown of what you can look at when you're looking at tubes of paint, because they often have, you know, the pigment number, the name, and then other little things like here, for example, hue, value, chroma. I didn't talk about that though. But permanency rating and opacity and what series it's a part of. Anyway, so you can see this is a mix of 3 pigments, and I can tell you when I started out, sorry, not COVID, I can tell you that when I started out painting with acrylic, I was always looking for paints that only had single pigments, because if it has multiple pigments, it means that you could create this color yourself using those 3 pigments. I think that was a great advantage starting out, is working only with single pigments, because you learn a lot about color mixing and how they work with each other. And just checking the time. Okay, 2 minutes. Before my camera turns off and I need to start it back on so that it continues recording. Anyway, what was I saying? Pigments. Oh yeah. But now fast forward, you know, many years later, I'm not as like kind of gung-ho about only using single pigments, because I have realized like the value of using paints that have mixes of pigments is just if there's a color that you really enjoy, then you don't need to go through the work of pre-mixing it, and you can reach directly for the tube and just use that. There is one thing often though to look for, is that in general they say that if you use 3, I think it's 3 or 4 pigments is kind of the max in terms of a mix, in order for the color not to become too dull. After that, there's a little bit of a dulling, and not in the sense of, I don't know. There's this big debate about muddy colors, and this is also a section that I didn't include in my color collector class, but that I might add in, about how I don't mind muddy colors. I think they're very valuable. They've been used in art history to create a lot of depth and complexity in works. So I'm not like super against the idea of, you know, mixing tons of pigments together. But it's just something to note, is that if you have more than 3 pigments simultaneously, it will have an effect on kind of the vibrancy of that color. That was long-winded, but yeah, I think it's an important thing. So this is also a blue that I do not own, and I thought it looked really interesting. Let's see what it looks like on the paper. Yes. Oh, that is exactly what I hoped it would be. It's kind of like this blue that's edging towards violet. Funnily enough, these kind of blue-violet colors are colors that I hated in the past. Like, even maybe, I'm so out of it that even though I said, oh yeah, I only have 2 minutes left, I just kept on talking as though it was filming. So anyway, sorry about that. What I was just saying is that this is a color that I really hated in the past, like as a teenager. This color and like mint green, I was like, oh, those are disgusting colors. I don't understand how anybody could like them. And fast forward, you know, 20 years, and I absolutely love both mint green and this kind of blue violet where you don't know I mean, this one's definitely more of a blue, but I really like those in-between colors. Anyway, so it's just fun to see that shift. This one is ash yellow, which I found very intriguing. And it's one of those colors where I think even also as a kid or a teenager, you'd be like, that is a gross color. It's like the color of poop. Sorry, I don't know. I have something stuck in my throat. Anyway, but just like, you know, other colors, you end up learning that like something like this is really, really useful if you like drawing like landscapes, natural colors. That's something that you can really use a lot in mixes. And it does have a really beautiful character. You just need to pair it with the right colors. And so that's always a fun discovery, is like, in what context are you going to like the color that you're looking at? And I think that's super fun to try to figure out. Like, for example, I would say this color and this one, they work so nicely together. Really, really beautiful. This one was the ash blue, which was one of the ones I was the most excited about, and I am so happy with it. It's that kind of like gray, mid to dark tone gray, but with a blue undertone. Misty mornings, foggy forests. Love it. Almost like a Payne's gray, but a little lighter. This one, burnt sienna, and obviously I said I'd keep space and then I didn't, but yeah. Burnt sienna, but I'm kind of happy I put it like that because the interaction of the burnt sienna and these blues really brings out kind of that orangey red of the burnt sienna. So that's kind of cool. This is another one that I don't have. So I think the only two, again, that I already have is this burnt sienna and this vermilion. This is a sepia. So I'm excited to see what that's like. My guess is it'll be more like a black. But with a very, well, blackish, with a very subtle brown undertone. Ooh, yeah, it's like kind of like a rich chocolate. Beautiful. Ooh, yum. Okay, that is a cool color. This isn't one I was necessarily looking forward to, but I'm super psyched about. And then finally the last color of the palette, which is also one that I wasn't necessarily psyched for. I don't know if it's the kind of color that I would use in my work, but again, you know, always be surprised. And that is gold. And I'm actually very curious about this. Like, does it actually have mica in it? Like, I don't think so because it only has one pigment, but let's see. I'm actually gonna lighten this up a little because it is pretty dark, isn't it? Yeah. Yeah, I started filming this a little late. Sorry about that. Ah, so it does have sparkles in it. It does have some sort of mica. So this is, I think, a color that I also would not have like bought on my own, but because it was in the palette. It's a very nice gold, I have to say. But again, my relationship to shimmers is very particular. I don't like that many shimmers. This one, it might grow on me. I mean, it does work really nicely with this blue, actually. So, yeah. Those are some of the colors here. And obviously, you know, you see that beautiful matte color of the Holbein. That's always really fun to see. And yeah. So this is that special edition palette again. I don't exactly remember. I do remember that thinking like, ooh, this is expensive. But again, Holbein is always expensive. But decided to treat myself because I hadn't gotten in any new art materials in a while. And I really love her work and thought that all these colors are colors that I could have fun exploring since I don't have any of them. So yeah, let's see. I mean, I have to say, like, if you take these just on their own, like these greens and blues and browns, so lovely. And then same thing, I wouldn't put that green there. But yeah, there's a lot of potential here, and I love that coral. And the mustard is also... Anyway, as you can tell, I'm excited. I hope you enjoyed that. I might leave a link directly to the palette on Splendid. I think depending on where you live, it's like difficult to get. Like I actually wrote to Holbein because I couldn't see where it was possible for me to get it. And they told me the stores that I could get it at, and then when I checked, it was all out of stock. So I don't know how easily accessible it is, but as always, you can get the single tube paints as well. So that's always a solution if there's a particular color that you enjoyed. All right. See you soon. Bye.